the game plan.
Cool, great insight. Well, congrats on the win again, and thank you very much.
No worries.
Cool, back to the couch.
Alrighty, Jake's gone.
It's me. It's the couch.
Done for the night.
He's out of here.
He's cooked it.
He's cooked it. You, fresh off the, well, not fresh off the desk, so how are you feeling?
I'm feeling fresh off the desk, bro.
Fresh off the desk?
Fresh off the desk.
You're basically done for the night. I mean, normally you would be done for the night. Normally this would be the time where it's like, hey, let's just like talk some bullshit about...
let's paint a Nico.
Yeah, or, you know, whatever else we do on this show. What else do we do on this show? Other weird things. But we're doing our second part of the mid-season split review. So we're going to talk, we talk teams, we're going to talk about some players. So let's get through these guys. The first one we want to talk about, Volkan.
What do you say about Balkan other than what I constantly call him behind closed doors, which is a loose unit?
A loose unit.
Is
we said it earlier. There's no one like Volkan here.
Yeah, he is a very unique player. He came from Korea solo queue as well. So when you do a check-in now, week 7, how's he been performing? Very well.
Yes.
And it makes you wonder, you know, how much of a say Mimic has in it. But what we do know is he has good English. So that isn't the biggest thing for me either. Like, he's able to adapt instantly to competitive because he can speak the language. But as a player, as a play style, it's so hard to go from being a solo queue player to a competitive player. So the fact that he's done it this quickly is nothing short of amazing.
It's also like you can say nothing but impressive because he does it in his style, which a lot of players come from solo queue. First of all, it's important to note jungle is the hardest role to transition from solo queue to competitive. Straight up, like just isn't the same game. Like completely different.
Just super quickly, give me top level why.
Well, just like everyone in solo queue is a numpty and like pressure matters much less. People will just die for free.
The blue buff isn't yours anymore. The
Yeah.
Krugs aren't yours past 15 minutes anymore. You actually have to ward and help your team. You don't go mid lane and tax the wave after the gank if you got, like, there are things that you have to change fundamentally.
You get a lot less as a jungler in competitive than solo queue. But like the fact of the matter is he comes from solo queue and has just been out. And he's on a very good team. Like every other player on that team is performing well. So it's easy for him to slot in somewhat, but it's not like he's playing bad and getting carried. They're playing through him, which is just very impressive. The confidence to come in as someone with no competitive experience and then just show on the OPL, the professional stage, that he's now like making a case for being one of, if not the best junglers in the OPL. Like Schernfire's gone. He was like the be and end all of junglers last year. Volkan coming in, like, does he replace him? Maybe. We'll see by the end of the season. We can have a verdict. But just the way and the confidence with which he's done it is incredibly impressive.
Plus, he scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
I run into him in the hallway. Intimidating.
Gives you a growl like,
Yeah, you see that picture of him. Then I don't want to
Do we know if it's actually him or if he is, in fact, 2 dogs? Because every time he posts on his social media, it is an image of 2 dogs.
he's got the game down.
2
pat.
dogs.
Just 2 dogs.
He knows.
He knows how to get impressions. That's
The second person we're going to bring up, Swaith.
Yes.
Swaith, I mean, Swaith is competing for time in this team. And arguably doing it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, like, he has looked like the better jungler of the two over the course of this split, right? But he's a player that surprised me coming into the split because he was a known quantity. We've seen him on Tectonic, we've seen him on previous teams. He's been around OPL for a while, never was one of, like, the best junglers in the region, but he has been performing very well recently. Like, AV is a roster that, like, coming into this split, like, AV wasn't like top tier talent in every role. They have big names, like they have chippies, stuff like that, but they got a lot of rookies.
Yeah.
But then Swaith coming in, he isn't a rookie, but he's still playing with Swaith swagger, and that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is as well, like you said, competing for his spot in the team, that's absolutely true. But they're working together. You know, they don't come into the week on Monday and they're like, I'm getting that game, you're not getting it. They both just try and be the best that they can so that they get selected for the spot. And they help each other to do that, which is a big thing for Swaith and for Sybil, of course, on the other side, is they're both improving rapidly from it.
Do you think that that's something that the other players on the team might necessarily want? Just someone that you can bounce ideas off in terms of playing your role, playing your playstyle, that sort of thing?
It helps a lot. I can tell you that junglers are absolute units that are so unique to their own styles. You know, they have their own brains, they think in their own ways, and it takes a jungler to understand a jungler.
Yeah.
So having 2 of them does actually help infinitely more than not.
Yeah.
Because, like, jungle is the role that internationally everywhere, like, if you're going to have a 6-man roster and actually rotate, it's always jungle because the value is there. But it's also most interesting that junglers can have varying styles much more than laners. Laners get dictated to more often than not. It's like you can watch a game back with, like, a bot lane, a mid lane, a top lane, whatever, and, like, in most scenarios, there's a right and a wrong answer in how you can play the game. Junglers, they could set up a big map play and then look at the map and be like, I have all of these camps. Which one do I choose? And they get to make the decisions.
It's about choice. You've got almost infinite choices ahead of you.
Yeah, there's more options and there's more wiggle room, which is why you have tank junglers, you have carry junglers, you have Eve Camille players, you have Sejuani Zac players. There's a lot of room for individuality, and that's why you see 6-man rosters in the jungle role, and Swaith is playing his style.
And then potentially with all those options, there's more chance for failure there because there's just more things that you can choose that aren't necessarily the right thing. So having a second person there backing him up and reinforcing those decisions, probably a good thing. To round out the trio of junglers that we wanted to talk about, Babip, number 3, Mammoth's jungler, obviously coming off not the best game, the last one, but nonetheless, how's he been holding up this split?
I mean, my opinion of Babip this split so far has been that he's nowhere near as good as we saw last split last year. I think that's just the plain and simple facts of it, but not to discredit him as a player. It feels like, we mentioned this when they played Chiefs, when they played Bombers rather, to be fair as well. The removal of the carry, or the shot caller rather from the team, Swiper from the top lane, a calm voice, a steady voice, perhaps he provides direction. Babip without that direction does seem to be a little bit more lost, and that's the interesting thing that we have to continue to track for him because, we expect big things from him. He was trained under Carbon for a long time with Legacy. He was someone that was being built up to replace effectively Carbon as he moved out of that role. And so you expect these big things, and to see him rise, you're like, that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
And now to see him kind of stumble as he has risen is very concerning.
Because I think it's very interesting to look at where he came from. You say sitting behind Carbon, he went from a player that's sitting behind a very dominant leader, and then is being groomed to replace Carbon when he retired from pro play. But then upon Carbon retiring, he went to Chiefs under another team with Swiper, who wanted to be a very dominant leader, right? So it's kind of ironic in where he ended up, and I feel like maybe that's the reason why we get to this stage with Mammoth, where they have carries in all of their positions, and he can be a very big carry player. He's a Nidalee jungler, plays a lot of Kindred, stuff like that. I feel like him, in the first game today, he's playing the Olaf, he's a big, has-been Sejuani guy, but I feel like he's a guy that gets dictated to a lot in terms of team identity. He doesn't come onto a team and demand to play his style. He facilitates a lot more, which is why I think we're not seeing him shine potentially as much as we somewhat expect. Because this is kind of the first negative one. We looked at Volcan and Swaith. They've surprised us coming out of nowhere. And it's not that Babip lacks the capacity to play at the level we're used to. Yeah. We're just not seeing it for probably a multitude of reasons.
Yeah. All right. Well, to someone who has been impressive and indeed impressive last game in the Chiefs lineup, it's Chief support Ayla. How are we feeling about Ayla?
I am very impressed with Ayla. He was, for people that are around the scene during off-season, very hot property for a number of teams, right? He was bargained for left, right, and center. He kind of has been around the OCS for a very long time. I've had some conversations with him in the past, back when I was a player, but he went to Korea and is all of a sudden individually very good. He just had a pretty poor game, right? That's probably his worst game in Chiefs' last victory. He was a 0-3 Galio, but the thing that I like about him, support main, watching his POV stream, he does cool things. Thresh is this is a random arbitrary situation. He's red side playing Ali, Thresh blue side contesting Dragon with his jungler. He's going to sit over the wall, throw a lantern to bring the jungler back. He knows that, and he's flanking around the side on Alistar, ready to combo. He's making intelligent read plays, which is not what you see out of rookies very often. They come in and they either have a slow start and build their career, or they come in and they flex their muscles individually. He's doing it in a team-wide sense, which is very, very cool.
Yet in the moment, he is still a phenomenal player. I think back to earlier in the split, he did a flash headbutt pulverized combo as Alistar.
Yeah, he did pole Q-flash.
Yeah. And placed a ward for a teleport during the combo. So you're noticing that he's got a big brain, but in big moments as well, he's clutch. You think back to the AV Chiefs game where they were behind and he gets the big flank off. That's Bill, apparently. All the Chiefs afterwards are just Ayla was a big part of the reason we came back in that game with a strong mental as well. What can't this guy do for a rookie?
Also, he's got the most Australian name in Bill, and he's the most wholesome person in the world.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And someone else who is incredibly wholesome, I think potentially my favorite interview of the split, just because he was so genuine and happy to be there. It's the mid laner for Legacy. It's Chaz. How do we feel like Chaz is going? Because obviously Legacy struggling this split. How is Chaz doing to stand out in that team?
I mean, Chaz is someone who's been put in a very hard position. You think about the shoes that he is filling, and that is of someone like Claire. And of course, with Guts there, filling the shoes of someone like Only, it's not an easy task for a new player to come in and try and do. And they have some similarities, actually, and that's where it is interesting, is they can play assassin styles. They've even got very similar styles of champions they like to play. But so far, I mean, Chaz, he's improving every week. It's been very noticeable. I've been pretty happy with how he's been playing so far. But Chaz is the kind of person that does have a long way to go still. He needs to mature as a player and actually like show up to the big stage. And that, to me, will take time. He's not someone that can be like Ayla and just be thrust into the spotlight and honestly just pop off and be insane. Chaz can be, but it takes time.
Because you have seen that. I think there was a Yasuo game last week where he was literally the pinnacle of their victory. And we haven't seen it much in the OPL, but he's very big on like his style. He's like spamming talent and solo queue, duo queue with Guts, like, and is like a grindy player. And he's coming in and hasn't like made a huge splash, but I feel like he has certainly been a pillar for Legacy in this rebuilding year, which is interesting to say because they do have like some veterans in Paprise. He's been around for like a long time, right? So he's a very young mid laner. We saw him first time in like professional play at Origin on the Queen's Lane lineup, right? And like they had a pretty rough time. Legacy is having a rough time, but I feel like individually, like he is on a very steady path.
All right, well, a lot of potential there still to be shown from Chaz. Finally, to round us out, mid-split review, players, we'll go into the bot lane for Chiefs, and it's Raze.
Both bot laners, of course, for the Chiefs there. Now, I need to work out exactly what these percentage stats mean, because that's a lot of percentage of damage dealt to champions. What does it mean, Bryce?
Wait, what? Average damage? Wait.
62%. So
he did
62% of a team's damage?
If he's doing
average,
62% of Chiefs damage,
that is correct.
That's nutty.
That is correct.
That is correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I don't know if I disagree, but if
that is
like
statistically like impossible.
Is it?
That is like there is like one game a season where a player gets 50 and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, okay. Because I mean, well,
but look at that smirk. That smirk is saying, nah, Rusty, you're wrong.
Okay, but like stats aside, whatever, like looking at the stats first time, but like
ignore the numbers, just go on feel.
No, I mean on feel, like he's been playing very well. Like Quinn is a very interesting AD carry. I feel like he's known as like the team fight carry. Maybe like he certainly looks at us like saying that on broadcast and is like, man, that's such a broadcast term. You guys say that like he doesn't sit there thinking, man, I'm the team fight AD carry. Like I'm gonna wait 20 minutes and then kill you. But like he in the Chiefs content like that they released I think yesterday. First of all, black and white, like hell yeah, the rebrand is
very
real cool.
The rebrand is real.
But like he's saying that like they were memeing him for his joke as like he named himself the perfect player, and we kind of do as well, right? Like he's very happy to cop that on the chin, but he wants to be the perfect player. He's the guy that is whipping out.
He's happy to cop the perfect player.
No, he's happy to cop the memes for like actually setting that goal, right? And it's like he like has been around for a while, still fairly young player, but he's playing the Ornn, he's playing the Yasuo, he's very good at the standard AD carries. His team fights are incredible. He's like a shot caller in the late game. Like I know that from experience playing with him. Like he's a very like well put together AD carry, and I think he is showing that this split with a rookie support.
And if we go off feel, I think personally that he is the best AD carry in the split right now. I think that he is contesting FBI for sure. I'd say they're top 2, but I think that currently Raze might just beat him by a little bit.
There you go. Well, we are done. Mid-season.
Reviewed.
I don't need this anymore. Oh, God, that sounded expensive. Oh, no. All right, let's get on to the third game of the evening, and it is a game. I don't know. I've thrown my computer away. It's Gravitas versus Legacy. How are we feeling about this one? We have all tipped
Gravitas.
We have.
Gravitas.
Yeah.
We have indeed. I was waiting for the graphic to come up, but that's fine. Yeah. We all feel pretty good about Gravitas taking this one out. If you feel pretty good about Gravitas and you want to watch a POV stream, then you can check out Raid. Raid's going to be on
AD Carry Day.
Stream. AD Carry Day. So that's why we picked Raid. Let's get into the match with the picks and bans at the desk with Spawn and Pyro.
Thank you very much. Let's get underway as it'll be an interesting game, I think, for sure. Both sides have quite a lot to go for this time.
Yeah, they certainly do.
You have something to say, Spawn. What is it?
No, I don't. I just, every single time I get into this chair and Bryce has been shoutcasting a game, I'm just like, how does he hear anything? Like, what is he doing? Like, he's literally like, I'm the person that, like, hears and feels the game. Bryce plays League of Legends via Braille. I swear to God. Like, he just doesn't actually listen to his code. He's got you turned down to 0. He can't hear you at all. Yeah. Like, I don't even know how he
You know that's deliberate, right?
I don't even know how he... No, but, like, these are sound-cancelling headphones, Pyro. If you don't have you in your ears, you just don't hear the questions. Like, what is going on? Now I'm all
I have
thrown
no
off.
idea. All right.
Stop touching my stuff. I've been here 5 years. Surely I get my own box.
Next thing you're going to be doing is telling them to get off your lawn. Let's get into the picks and bans here, Spawn, because we have kind of a smattering, a smorgasbord, if you will, of things that have been banned away. Lissandra, Zach, Thresh on the Gravitas side. Ivern, Lucian, Yasuo for Legacy. Insta-lock-in of the Sylas, and it's matched by a Ryze.
Yeah, so Silas going to be locked in. Genuine flex picks. Ryze as well should be the same case. And Rek'Sai being the strongest jungler on the current patch, concerned by a lot of people. So let's go through the bans quickly. You know, a lot of people right now think Yasuo is just very, very strong, nearly uncontestable, especially if the Sejuani is going to be up and available in the jungle position. Guts always draws himself that Zac ban. No one wants to give Guts Zac. He's a little bit of a madman on it. We'll take the ganks from very interesting paths. But there's something I've seen a lot, Pyro, and it's something that I'm very excited about. Sylas has a very nice auto attack reset on his W, also has that empowered auto attack for an AP champion. Pairing it with something like the Sejuani means that you can proc that, and also has a lot of lockdown CC to be able to output Sylas's damage.
You can stick to people a lot easier for sure, so that's definitely a nice little combo here. We'll see what Gravitas add to it. They're going to go for an 80 carry for Raid, picking up the Ezreal that's had 100% rate of play today. Usually has been in very defensive situations, plenty of supports up and available to add. And Legacy, let's see what they take to finalize things out. Don't expect them to be showing where the Ryze is early on. Might be time to pick an 80 carry for Praedyth.
Yeah, it certainly should be. Or support. You don't want to get the support champion pool to be hit down any further if you are Dobe. So wouldn't be surprised to see that Morgana get locked in, go towards the bottom lane. Last time we're going to see this iteration of Morgana. This weekend, I assume the rework is coming out soon. Don't know what the heck it does because I don't read ahead in the patch notes.
But it does look cool.
Does it?
I think so. I'm looking at it right now on the screen, and I like it.
She looks kind of scary.
I mean, that's kind of the point. She's all like evil, dark magic sister.
Is she evil? I thought she was supposed to be the one that cares about humans.
I mean, yeah,
and is, like,
but it's
fallen
like
path
it's
for the
still
right of
it's
humanity.
still like anti-hero dark, right? Maybe it's not evil, but we can
know.
debate alignments all day.
You're the one talking, telling the story. I'm just here playing the heel.
There you are. All right, couple of big power picks banned away in phase 2. LeBlanc off the board, followed by the Vayne.
You can see that potentially setting up for that Ryze to go top, because Ryze is actually alright into LeBlanc, despite what Swiffer showed us last game with Aftershock should be considered a little bit of a counter pick. Also could just be one of Harry's most comfortable champions. In saying that, I think he's very good on the Syndra as well, so you might want to get rid of that one if you're going to continue to attack the mid lane champion pool. Wouldn't be surprised to see him just go towards something like a Sylas though.
Ooh, interesting Zed ban. Now Zed did get some buffs on this patch, but I think it was debatable whether or not we'd see him.
Yeah, it was played by Nukeduck into Cassiopeia. The only Zed game I've seen on Professional. That was in the LEC. It was Origin versus G2. Origin won the game. Zed performed very well, killed Cassiopeia at level 6 after forcing a recall and ended the game like 6-0-4 or something.
That's also the kind of thing that Nukeduck would just sort of pull out in one of those situations.
Well, he
too.
is
So
one
you
of
could
the
say
best
it's like,
Zed players in the world. So
you could say it's like a pocket thing comparatively, but the point is it has been seeing some play. Sivir's banned away as well, and we get a very quick Kalista. This time it combos up with a Morg, a little squishier, but still you can chuck her in for the quick Soul Shackles.
It's actually really good. You can't chuck her in for Soul Shackles. So she bounces back because she's a ranged champion.
Oh, okay.
So you chuck her in for the bind. So what it does is you lined it up, you bounce straight line backwards, and you get to immediately throw out the bind. Of course, when you are bound, you have time to do such recreational activities as finish a university degree, maybe serve out a small sentence in jail. You know,
Read War and Peace.
Yeah, read War and Peace. You know, maybe go overseas for a short trip before the binding ends. So certainly a good amount of layered CC that will be coming out of Praedyth and Crazy. However, would like to point out that Kalista is currently 0-2 on the day, has seen a fairly high priority, and has kind of done nothing in the mid game where Kalista is supposed to shine. So interested to see if Legacy can make it work.
We will see indeed. So Gravitas kind of going back to what seems to be fairly stock standard to round things out for themselves. We have been seeing a lot of Galio support, and it comes in yet again. And we will have a Zoe for Harry as well. So that is definitely a champion that he can get some quick pickups on. A lot of burst damage here, and if they single out a target, Gravitas can really sting.
Certainly can, and I think more than that, their slow team fights are really good. They have the ability to double frontline, maybe even triple frontline if Parvigo is a little bit tankier. That's going to be a Riven locked in for Pat Prize, so very interesting.
We have seen him do this. Now, it didn't win the last time around, but Pat Prize is one of those players that will definitely take it to. I think the top lane matchup is going to be a little spicy there, Spawn.
Yeah, certainly agree with you. He played it against Order, actually. and he went the Spear of whatever it's
Spear
called.
of Jax.
Yep. No, I think it's called the Spear of
Spear of Shojin.
Shojin.
Yes.
But kind of did nothing with it, to be brutally honest. So interested to see if he does a little bit more this game. With Rek'Sai, coupled from Guts, that should be a lane that you can just hard camp. Like, I expect Guts and Papyrus to spend 90% of their game trying to kill Pabu over and over again.
It's a big test for both teams right now. On the Legacy side, they've had some hope in the last couple of weeks by getting a handful of wins out and really bringing up the win total to 3, trying to stack as many as they can before the end of the split. On the Gravitas side, right now, if they can put this one away nice and easy, the teams that are above and below them directly have lost today already, so this can help them get over that hump and move into the top half of the OPL.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird situation between Gravitas and Order, because even if one of the teams edges one game ahead, it's kind of irrelevant, because the last game they play against each other, and that will determine head-to-head. So if you win that game, even if you go to equal, so for example, if Gravitas win this game, they're one game ahead of Order. If Order wins the decider in the last week, they'll go to equal, but because they'll be 2-1, they'll actually qualify for the gauntlet. So really, they're jockeying for 2 positions right now between Gravitas and Order. Both of them a fair way away from the lineup against someone like, Avant or Mammoth. In saying that, Legacy aren't actually out of the playoff race yet. They've got 3 wins. They pick up the win here. They go to 4. Gravitas and Order are only on 5. So people are kind of acting as if, there's only 1 spot up for grabs. But really, Legacy can make that late surge. There is kind of 7 games left in the OPL, and all those spots really are still available.
Definitely a lot left to play. Now, we are joined as we get underway by Legacy's coach, Denian. Welcome and thank you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, we got a level 1 really quick. I will get to the questions in just a second because Dobes is going to have to flash that wall. So ignoring that, let's talk about the strategy you guys have set up for this one. You've got some pretty powerful pickups, but it does seem like you've gone back to the Papyrus Riven strategy. Is that going to be a linchpin for this game, you think?
I'm pretty happy with Riven. Yeah, I think Riven has a lot of strengths, and one of her biggest strengths is probably that a lot of people don't know how to play into her.
So talk to me about that philosophy, because while we just watch him recall a little bit here, I like that philosophy, like when a champion either becomes that niche that it's not played all that much, or that banned that they haven't been scrimming against it that much. How do you then get comfort in the matchups that you're going to have to play on the weekend?
Well, I mean, people aren't playing it that much, at least in scrims, but it doesn't mean we can't play it. So we can still get comfortable with it. It doesn't change that. If we think it's individually strong for us or our play style, then it's pretty easy to just get the games on it and play it.
All right, now talk to me about the run home that you guys have. As I mentioned, people are kind of acting as if, season over, but you guys are still definitely within touching distance, especially if you pick up this game. How are you trying to keep the guys aligned to that goal?
Well, what we've been looking at is if we win this game and the next game we play against Gravitas, and if we can manage to win those 2 games and also the game against Order, we'd have head-to-head against both of those teams. And that would put us in a really strong position to actually end up in Gauntlet. And after that, who knows what happens. But that is kind of what we're looking at. That's what we're playing towards. So we're putting a lot of focus on those games especially. But obviously our main focus overall is still, we have to get better. We have to get better because it's a new team with a lot of new players.
So obviously there's a lot that you guys are working on, a lot of moving parts, but what is the single biggest thing that you think Legacy still needs to work on to get in shape for those gauntlets?
Well, we've had some pretty good mid games, but they're often when we're really far behind from our early game. So a lot of our focus has been, let's have a really strong early game and let the strong mid game that we're having through micro and team fight mechanics to just do their own thing there, so we don't have to break up a deficit.
Okay, looking forward to seeing how it goes. Thanks so much for joining us, Denny.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, cool. So a couple things have happened there in the start of it. Spawn, but no first bloods. It just was Papyrus kind of doing a little ring around the blue buff and back up to his lane. Meanwhile, he's up against Pabu. Definitely want to keep an eye on where the junglers go first this game because, as you pointed out, Guts can be very mobile on this Rek'Sai.
Yeah, certainly can be. Let's talk a couple of things about the lane. So Rai's not going to be able to battle for priority at the start of the game all that well. It's bounced off his turret, so this is when he generally gets, access. Top lane, we've already mentioned the empowered autos. It means it's very hard to step into Silas's wave early, also setting up a gank here. However, Enchanter support pretty much guarantees that you have first move in that bottom lane. So you can see that they're really happy right now to split the map. Rek'Sai is a quicker jungler, so is going to be that camp up. Has done the additional one. You can see kind of 2 available in Pralis's top side of the map, only 1 available in Guts's. So now, as long as Papyrus can avoid this gank, map
doesn't
should
come.
slowly start to move into the power zone of the Rek'Sai, and pushing is generally good, Pyra. Pushing means that you have more options. Do I want to stay in lane, hit turret, throw some spells at some people? You know, do I want to move to river first? Do I just want to get a good shot? However, against Rek'Sai, it's also really dangerous because Rek'Sai is one of the few champions that has very creative ways to get behind you. She's just the burrowing dolphin, you know, the land sea animal, which means that you always have to be aware of what your surrounds are as you're trying to go for it. So we already mentioned the Zac pick up the guts. I want to see if it can utilize some of those creative paths to kind of open up the game. Because if you can't, Rek'Sai's mid game, real stinky cheese. Like one of the worst champions as far when it comes to team fights and those skirmishes. Because really, if you don't have flash on burrow, you kind of add nothing.
Yeah, a lot of things similar to the way a Zac play pattern would work out. It does make sense the Guts would go towards that with the Zac being banned away, since it's been one of his big mainstay champions.
So you say
it's going under rather than over.
Yeah, you say similar, but Zac gets better as the game goes on. His ganks become more efficient. You know, he's got himself the abduct as well as the stretchy arm slaps,
That's a good
and
point.
he's just a pure tank. Rek'Sai is probably going to go warrior and either Deadman plates, which is like a real mid-game, crappy late-game item, or something like Black Cleaver. So certainly not going to be the same late-game powerhouse.
Yeah, and it does seem like this really fits in line with the legacy, you know, go big early or go home late game kind of strategy.
Oh,
If
here
they
we go.
get
This
into
is
that late,
really
we'll see
nice.
if they can make this play happen. Crazy Prey just waiting in the wings, and Gravitas sniffs something very quickly. There's going to be the all-day route from the Morgana.
Very strange. They
But no
actually
follow-up.
had Guts moving into the river. Could have probably got down in time, and then you have a look at the fact that there's no vision, and they were going to 100% walk past. Otherwise, that wave was going to freeze up. Maybe could have looked for something a little bit more there. However, they decided not to, especially when you have the heal. So the reason I said that that was nice is when you're running heal versus teleport, if you can win, you know, pre-first shot, you're in a very good state. However, once this happens, once you just get TP'd back on and they have a Sheen, you got a Doran's Blade, laning phase kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough right now for Praedyth. And speaking of rough, Paprise is also having a hard time. Level 5 versus level 6. Pabu feels like you might want to go for a dive or force Paprise away. Ooh, that Riven's having a hard time for sure. Look at the CS differential alone. He's just trying to scrounge for the scraps.
Certainly is. However, going to be within touching distance also has a sustain advantage
go.
right now because has the Vamp Scepter versus the Corrupting Potion, which right now is nearly out of charge. Needs to start shielding the actual damage and not the after damage. But I think Paprise is in a fine state.
Yeah, he looks
it.
rough at first, but he does steal a lot of it back, and the Vamp Scepter early on is definitely giving him a lot of that sustainability. But this is, you mentioned last time, the bot lane Gravitas were really able to kind of get the jump on Legacy, and you can see the result of it, free shots at the tower.
This is dangerous for Raid. If he backs here, he's actually not going to, so he's going to hit over the wall.
Ooh,
I thought he
off
was
the blast
maybe
cone.
looking for a cheeky recall. If that was going to be the case, he 100% would have died. But instead, he's going to stay on map, send decoy back. This is something that we don't see all that often. Because as you can see, Raid right now is kind of doing nothing. He's just wandering around in circles. But doesn't result in all that much. And I think that Gravitas would be really happy. They've found themselves 600-700 gold lead at the moment. And I think that their comp late game is just far superior to what the Legacy comp have. Unless it's a hard 1-3-1 that Legacy is looking for, I don't really know how this mid to late game plays out against a Zoe Ezreal comp.
This is one of the slower starts we've had, too. The last two games have been just fast action fests that have really started to turn quickly, of course. Still only 7.5 minutes into the game at the moment. But Gravitas perfectly happy to take the easy road. They're building up a gold lead just through the farm differentials alone. You can see a big difference in the mid lane with Harry's Zoe versus Chaz. Is a big part of that as well. I'd like to cycle over to gold in a second and actually see what that's actually resulted in. It's obviously not huge, but 400 that's something.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, when your gold lead is 800, you're holding half the gold lead right there. And a Doran's Ring is going to be a big advantage. However, the fact that they're able to get this, shove in bottom and mid right now for this play, very nice.
Ooh,
And they gave it over to the 80 carry as well. So that one's going to be picked up for Praedyth.
Yeah,
so
good timing on the smite to not actually take it away.
big laning phase advantage right now for that Callisto.
Let's see what Legacy can do with this at the moment, because they did lose a little bit of tempo earlier on, but now they have kind of a bit more of a go-ahead. It's level 6 on the carries. The support's the only champions in the game that have yet to hit it.
Silas is such a weird champion. We've seen him appear like nigh unstoppable, you know, healing up so much damage. Then we've seen him like kind of like last game where just kind of looked like he did a whole bunch of nothing, to be honest. Had a fairly good laning phase and then died over and over again to gank. So I think that, you know, haven't really seen the peak potential of that level 16 steal 5 ultimates in a team fight Sylas come out, but interested to see whether if this game does go to the mid-late game, Pabu is practiced with the champion.
I'd definitely like to see that happen because it is always a treat to see a newer champion kind of like be used to full potential. But as it has been newer, we've seen less of that happening. Afraid it does take a chunk off of Raid's True Shot Barrage here.
Well, it was
Really
funny,
clipped
right?
the
Because
wave.
I was watching a Faker interview on Sylas, and he said the champion's really fun. And you can't understate, and this is such, like, players are going to be like, this is not correct. But I honestly think pro players play bad champions at times because they are more fun and more engaging than other champions.
That's a part of the game, right? I mean, you want to play what's optimal, but there's always that psychological benefit of playing something that you enjoy.
Like, you give any top laner, and I'll use, like, the extreme, right? Jace into Malphite. Every top laner is like, I want to be the Jace in that situation. I want to just be the guy that just gets to wail on the Malphite, try and push turrets. But Malphite, as soon as he gets tabbies, like, wins the lane very, very hard. But I haven't seen, apart from like one game in Korea, that actually happened, bottom lane game.
Looks like there is the big gank coming up. Praedith, they wanted his red buff, and they are going to be able to secure it. That's first blood. Actually already timed out, forcing the flash out of Crazy as well. Praelis was there at the right time, and Guts, well, Guts was not.
Yeah, exactly right. You know, we mentioned that Guts should have all these early gank paths opening up. Well, he's got Warrior, and he hasn't been a part of any ganks. Like, it's not that none of the ganks have worked. It's just that he hasn't really gone for any Pyro. At the same time, that's going to be a free level 7 on Sejuani. All the lockdown CC available layers it very well with Decoy. They burn the necessary flashes, and they get themselves that advantage in the bottom lane.
They burn everything. I mean, that is insult to injury because even though a lot was used in order to secure it, Praedith and Crazy both, oh, Chaz, that damage from Harry is really insane on just Sork Shoes and the Blasting Wand. Guts does come through, forces the flash out of Harry, and he turns it right around once again. He's having a field day. Gravitas looking pretty good right now in this game. True Shot Barrage comes through and nearly clips Chaz.
I actually stopped the recall, so that's even more than clipping him. Like, you know, it's one thing picking up the kill, but now Harry can all of a sudden look for a solo kill potentially.
He's going for it. Hops through, portal, doesn't land. Still, though, he does get a fair bit of tempo advantage. Actually goes in on a Chaz this time, taking turret shots as he goes, but he's got Praelis at his back, and he's still able to push this and delay Chaz's back.
Yeah, and this is a big thing, right? Is even though they look like they trade even there, because Praelis is on the map, ready to assist, whereas Rek'Sai was in base, there's just no way that Chaz can get his lane in. Meanwhile, Harry will be able to push it in. Will take himself a 20 CS lead with a couple of turret plates and just a very strong early game from the rookie. This is a rookie versus rookie matchup, and Harry certainly showing that he is very well versed in what Zoe's power points are.
I think Harry's been making a name for himself overall in the mid lane, but yes, he is definitely showing a mastery of the champion as well, and you know, that's been one of the more exciting parts of the map. I really thought this was going to be solo kill city, but I was completely wrong about that, as Paprise does go in, but Pabu is more than happy to answer. It's just love taps, wet noodle fights almost.
Yeah, well,
I feel
that's
like I'm watching tanks.
Aftershock. I mean, they are tanks, right? When you run Aftershock on something like the Sylas, as soon as that CC hits, maybe this time.
Okay, Paprise. Little chain denial there from Pabu. It's level 10 on level 10, and that's about it. Meanwhile, back to the bottom, they've got Crazy turning onto Decoy with the rest of the team. They will shuffle some aggro here. Legacy managed to get a kill back for themselves. Pabu taps in with the teleport. Doesn't finish the job on a Praedith, and Chaz is running forward to keeping Pabu in Rune Prison, but Praelis comes from the outside and picks up the kill, whiffs on the Ice Bola, but he does keep him locked down. And all of a sudden, Spawn, we had a big old party in the bot lane, but it looks like Gravitas are the ones going home with the party favors.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the Legacy were sick of playing the slow game. They take the party portal. They try and get something started in the bottom lane, but a great read on the TP there from Pabu means that he's there slightly earlier than Paprise. And Paprise just wasn't able to get as much done as he wanted. Like, let's take another look. So Pabu already channeling TP. Paprise kind of wandering around. Hasn't really gone for it yet. Now it comes in. You can see they're already very hard losing this one. They go for the turret dive as opposed to the members not under the turret. And he could have flashed there. He could have tried to get on top of Pabu, but instead goes for the hop over the wall. Doesn't pay off, will fall down. I think ultimately would have died either way. But this is just a team spending every resource. Like, look at the summoner spells right now on Gravitas. Every time there's a play, they just burn everything. Now, the same thing cannot be said for the Legacy lineup. You know, flashes being held onto, like, not in a situation where even if they were used, they wouldn't have won the team fight. So it just seems like, you know, things are being fought more on Gravitas' terms than what Legacy are able to manufacture at the moment.
Does seem that Legacy might just be a little less certain of their own ability to make those plays, and they are a little indecisive when you think about it. The fact that they do go to try and dive as opposed to getting people that are outside of the turret, knowing full well that there was a big fight kind of coming their way.
Well, the thing, there was the turret had heated up so much.
Yeah.
Like, Morgana had tanked 3 shots. Obviously didn't have the stopwatch, so it had to be pulled in by Praetor, but that doesn't drop the aggro, it just transfers it. Turret stays heated up, so all of a sudden, 2 more turret shots. Like, you're pretty much out of the fight from that situation. Then when you're getting up to, like, the 5 and the 6 turret shot territory, like, that thing's just, like, torching you. Does so much damage, so I think it's also just a little bit of awareness of, you know, at 14 minutes, when you don't have a pure tank, what's a turret actually going to do to 3 of your, you know, utility players? Like, it's going to really hurt them.
Quite a lot, yeah. So the lead at that 15-minute mark really does start to move on forward. 2,000 and some change in favor of Gravitas. Top lane continues to be a bit of a back and forth without a whole lot of results, but everywhere else on the map certainly starting to look pretty solid in favor of Gravitas. A lot of vision invested around this river and also inside Gravitas' own jungle. They've really just been not caught unawares by Legacy despite that forced attempt.
Yeah, but still it's only a 2,000 gold lead, and it, you know, is big for this stage of the game, but I don't think it is going to be game-winning. However, this dive that they are setting up could be.
Looks like it. They're going to go for it right now. True Shot Barrage coming through. There's the heal out of Praetor, and he's going to leave Crazy
Grab
for
him.
dead, who's trying to walk away from this one, and he gets saved thanks to the Fates call. Legacy, what a close one.
But at the same time, you know, Guts is on the same side of the map. When they go for that 4-man play, you want to be cross-mapping. You want to be hitting mid lane turret, looking for a Rift Herald, or diving Pabu. You can see he runs down to the bottom lane turret. Now he's just walked all the way back to the top side. There's no jungle camps anywhere, and he's lost his bottom lane turret. A little bit of a disaster there for Guts, and this is why one of the most punishing roles to go from rookie to pro play is going to be that position. Now we'll start up the Rift Herald.
A little bit late, but better late than never for sure. Guts is going to try to get this one down with a little help from Paprise, perhaps, who's actually shuffled back up towards the top.
And they can
he's getting
stop
free
this
hit
right
on the
now.
tower.
If they want to send Pabu over there, they already have Galio back on map.
Here's Praetor. This should help.
Certainly should, but, you know, Guts is not all that healthy anymore. Instead, they won't go for the fight.
Okay, so Gravitas don't know that one was happening, or at least they didn't feel like trying to commit to stopping it. Legacy do get a prize out of that, but it does seem like the map awareness just isn't quite at the same level for the Legacy lineup.
Yeah, it just seems that, like, the play, apart from that one dive on bottom lane, which, you know, got to credit them, that was a proactive play, didn't work, but it certainly was their move. I think that apart from that one play, everything's really just been done by the Legacy lineup. Even this flip feels like it's going to be in Legacy's favor. Right now you got Ezreal, who runs Magical Footwear, with the 2-item spike earlier. Of course, Praetor goes with the upgraded boots, double dagger, so kind of relatively even on the gold front. But certainly behind in the relative power front that you would say between these two members right now.
Starting to translate the items as well. Not full items, but at least partial ones at the moment. Especially you look what's going on in the jungle position. That's where the biggest difference has really started to come out, because Prellis is already kind of working his way up towards the next big tanky item. Where Guts, who, as you pointed out, has been missing out on some of those jungle camps, has just not been able to quite keep pace, especially with the ganking pressure that Prellis is providing.
Well, it seems that Guts has just gone back. Oh, actually.
Paprise? Yeah, it's fine.
Guts has gone really heavy into like how he plays solo queue. He's a big farm player in solo queue. You know, he likes to get towards 2 or 3 items, but in pro play, if someone else gets like 2 kills, that's all negated.
There you go. Here's the dive once again. Crazy and Praetor. They're going to find themselves outnumbered. They will try to turn, but Guts once again arrives too late.
Yeah, he's just like a step slow every single time, and this time around, Crazy does the right thing. Uses his shield on his support and just dies for it.
Ooh, Paprise wants to take that. Step forward. This might be when the solo kills finally start happening, but up in the top, there's still a lot of stuff happening. Pabu once again. Man, I keep thinking somebody's going to die, but then I remember, yeah, there's a lot of sustain on the Silas, and its tower taken up top by Gravitas.
So every single time there's a little jockeying for position, Gravitas grab themselves 1 kill, force the enemy away from the turret, and just look to continually, slowly build up this gold lead. Certainly a team that knows that Rome wasn't built in a day, just going to continue to look for their small advantages. And right now, it's built, kind of 4,000 gold, which is becoming not all that small.
Starting to snowball forward, but slow and steady. That's the way Gravitas are going to like it right now. They may lose out on this tower down bot as Paparize takes a few more pot shots at it. He will have to get through Pabu in order to do it. And it's just kind of like centimeters against kilometers at this point. For every step forward the Legacy are taking, you can see that Gravitas are just doing that much more. And now we finally have the all-in. Guts will finally arrive, but Praelis is there again a little quicker. There's the unburrow. Pabu a little bit low, and he's not going to go down just yet. Flashing forward, there was the Void call. It looks like Guts is going to just drop down. Way too many members of Gravitas. Void rush is what I meant to say, and it's a 1-for-2 trade.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see that's some frustration from Guts. He wanted to be a part of the play. Flashes forward, but once again, you mentioned he was just beaten to the punch. Praelis there one more time. 3-0-4. This Sejuani having a field day right now over the Legacy lineup. Only one kill he hasn't been a part of.
He's a chunky boy at this point, too. He's got himself the Warmog's armor, so it's going to be very hard to kill him, and if he slips out of grasp, he'll be able to regenerate a lot of it up in short order.
Kind of strange that he's got a completed Warmog tower, because you don't get the passive at this stage of the game. I don't think you would be above 3,000 health.
It's a future investment,
items.
Spawn.
Certainly is.
He's feeling confident.
I mean, when you've got a completed half item, build whatever half item you want. You want to go towards a Knight's Vow or something like the Stone Plate, you can do that and get a couple more levels and build your Warmogs. Or if you're just feeling it and you got a 600 gold bounty, just build the Warmogs.
Yeah, might as well. All right, Ref Herald's going to get popped. Looks like up towards the top side.
And
that is a
Herald.
very, well, I think it was about to expire, right? That was a very far one out, so Shelly's going to have a bit of a walk to do. And Harry might be in a pretty good position to try and contest it. In fact, the rest of Gravitas are actually mobilizing up top to do just that.
Yeah,
so
somehow I don't think that one's
anywhere.
getting even a singular charge, Mr. Technics.
Yeah, that's a big nope. So this is turning into a bit of a roughie for Legacy here. They just seem indecisive. Not a whole lot of direction.
And the thing about Kalista is if you're not fighting now, when are you fighting, right?
That's a good point.
She's she's not a crit 80 carry. She's not a Trinity Force user, so really now is a stage of the game that she is strong and wants to fight.
And we keep seeing this time and again, history repeating itself in these games today, that into the Ezreal, she's just finding herself backed under turrets and taking a lot of chip damage.
And I already spoke about it, but this is what I mean. Look how far up the lane Ezreal can catch the wave. Throws a true shot barrage out. That's going to trim the wave already. Standing at the turret, ready to shoot the Qs. The only way Kalista can trim a wave is by standing there and auto-attacking it. Ezreal doesn't have to do that, which means that this is a situation where you get to start autoing it. And that means that you're catching it a turret, and every single time your turret's taking a little bit of damage. So, it's just one of those things that Ezreal is the best mid-laning 80 carry. That's one of the reasons he sees so much strength. It's how he absorbs so much farm and becomes a late-game powerhouse. And teams like Gravitas, Bombers, Chiefs, very comfortable just putting those 80 carries in those situations. I mean, Raid was down by about 10-15 CS at one stage in this game. Now he's up, 10-15.
Yeah, and he's going to be even more with the Klepto. He's got a lot to do, a lot of gold line in his pockets as well, so everything kind of coming up Millhouse here for Gravitas lineup. Yep,
absolutely agree, and I think that, this is one of those games where they have put the slow bleed on, because Riven is like a one-or-done champion. I don't think Riven is bad late game, but her windows to get that big blow-up team fight are certainly very small.
Well, she needs to go in and get some kills, right? I mean, he's got the one, and that was just off the back of that really nutty fight. Pabu has basically just been saying, you shall not pass down in the bottom lane. Finally, the tower did fall, but he's just been keeping the Riven to be locked in this kind of back-and-forth, no-result combat.
I kind of do agree with you, but at the same time, I think, Pabu flashes on the back line, has himself maybe a Ryze ult or a Riven ult, something like that. Maybe the best case scenario is he's stolen Crazy's ults, right? So he dashes in there with Crazy's ult. He flashes on everyone, gets some good damage. Like, I can see him killing 1 or 2 people. Then I think Paparize, level 16, 2 or 3 item, pops a big sword, flashes on the back line. He probably kills everyone he hits. Like, I think that there are certainly, but you have to build that perfect scenario. And the problem is Paparize is winning his side lane. I mean, he's 20 CS up, 30 CS up. He took the turret. But at the same time, the rest of the map is just losing quicker than he's winning. Which is kind of the situation that Legacy put Order in when they took that game off them. They had the Yasuo, they had the hard force.
Ooh! Yeah, and Guts is having a hard time getting into his own jungle at this point. while we've been talking about everywhere else on the map, Harry's just been slowly accumulating damage at the point with the Oblivion Orb completed as well as the, as I was going to say, Crazy getting sleepy. Doesn't get chunked by the True Shot Barrage, but it doesn't matter. Gravitas can just afford to throw all of this burst out, and that just scares Legacy away. Baron's on the map and has been for the last 4 minutes. Question is, do Gravitas feel confident enough to just start it up?
Yeah, and this is a situation where Zoe looks awesome, right? You're playing on the front foot every single time. You're able to dictate the pace of the game. You're just lobbing projectiles and skill shots at people. You know, Ezreal can do the same to a certain degree. And if you catch one of them as the enemy team, like, you died regardless of who you are right now on Legacy. At the same time, you know, if it ever becomes a quick team fight, it doesn't get as much off. See how it works out. And you can see the Ribbon still continuing to win out here.
Yeah, Pabu is leveled down. He is a little bit of health bars moved away as well, and the ultimate stolen. Don't know what he's going to be able to do with it just yet. Instead, it's a focus elsewhere on the map for Gravitas. They're pushing deeper and deeper into Legacy territory, and Legacy are being pushed out. This is Summoner's Rift gentrification is what this is, Spawn. They can no longer afford to be in their own jungle.
It certainly is. And at the same time, you know, eventually they will just start up the Baron buff, and they will be able to take that one relatively quickly. Their Ezreal is a full item up. Like, there's no other way to say it. If we check gold right now, that's probably going to be 2,500 gold lead sitting there for raid.
And Praedyth has been forced to get a QSS as well. Hello, all in on the bottom side. Paprise is smelling the blood, but it's a ring around the turret. He does secure it. So that's a ray of hope here for Legacy, and you can see the rest of them starting to push a little further forward now that they had some confidence back.
Told you eventually it would win out, man.
I mean, yeah, it's a slow burn, but he did get the kill. I'll give you that.
Not only has he got the kill,
turret too.
Yeah, about to take a turret. Gives them the ability to push up mid lane, buys a reprieve. They clean out the wards in the jungle. That probably delays Baron for, you know, a couple of crucial minutes. And with that, they climb back within 3,000 gold lead. Like, this isn't a huge gold lead for this stage of the game. Does need to be able to get out safely here, however, because he's built up the one bounty.
That's fine. He's fine. Everything's fine. Also, worth pointing out, it's been a zero Drake game because Cloud Dragon is the Cloud that nobody wants.
Hey, I love Cloud Drakes.
Apparently, neither of these teams agree with you, though.
Yeah, they don't. Kind of useless for a lot of their champions, but maybe Rise would like one.
I think that's fair. I think the Rise would like it. It's just, I guess there's more priority stuff on the map.
Oh, Spirit of whatever has been picked up as well, so this lane's going to get even rougher.
One day you're going to memorize it.
It's Spirit of Shojin. Shojin.
I would love to know Shojin's story.
I struggle with SHs.
Nah, that's fair.
Spirit of Shojin.
You can just say Spear of Jax if you want.
I try it. No, I can't. It's called Spear of whatever. I always try and add a C in my SHs.
Yeah, it's like German.
Yeah.
Spear of Shojin.
Yeah. I'm not going to do a German accent.
I've been working on Duolingo every day, keeping it up while I'm away from Germany.
Baron going to be started up here.
Yes, it is. Krellis tanking it through. He's perfectly able to do that.
This is a risky call.
This is a bit risky. Guts is in the area this time. Decoy actually going to headbutt a wall there with his Justice Punch.
They keep it aggroed as
Uprise
well.
is still bottom lane. He has not pulled the trigger on TP. Legacy sniffing around, but they haven't committed to trying the contest.
I don't know if they can do this.
Gravitas back away. This is a win for Legacy. They called the bluff. Look at bot lane.
Is he just going to dive him?
Yeah. No, maybe not. Okay, cool. He's out.
So he's
out.
I
really hoped he was going to dive him.
So did I.
With the Spear of Shojin.
Yep. Because he had the ultimate available, would have been able to go for it, but they get the 2 teleports. That means that Raid now can no longer look for a bottom lane play. One of the best plays, in my opinion, is when an 80 carry has TP and top laners start fighting each other bottom lane, and then all of a sudden an 80 carry, which at this stage is like unkillable. If you've used 2 buttons as a top laner and an 80 carry appears, you're like, ah, damn it. It just appears in your lane and then can still teleport for Baron. But that option no longer available. And once again, this game just stalling. It's just kind of fizzling. There's not all that much happening.
It is on less certain ground, though, I think. That's the important thing. Before, it just seemed like Gravitas were building up and up and up, and Legacy kind of get some tempo back for themselves with the kill on the bottom and the fact that they scared Gravitas off Baron.
Yeah, well, it was more the control they got, right? Because they actually retook control of their topside jungle, which meant when that Baron was started up that time, they were so much more comfortable. You could see they were walking towards the Baron. They used a Raya's ultimate to check the health. They had a blue orb. They have another blue orb on Chaz right now. They've just got multiple tools. So unless Gravitas say, you know what? Caution to the wind, hell or high water, we're doing this, Baron, come and fight us. They just took so much health because they were doing it so slowly. They were leaving Krellis in the pit solo. So I think that, you know, that was one of those times that a hard commit would have worked out better.
Yeah, speaking of hard commit, though, the Gravitas do realize that they can knock down the front door here of Legacy's second mid-tier turret, and they do get it. Clearing up through the jungle, but you got to think they're not going to be interested in just starting off a Baron again because they just can get pushed off. And this time it's the dive behind the tower. Pabu is going golden, but Paprise is challenger, baby.
This is just so fun to watch. Like, there are no turrets dead anywhere else on the map, apart from bottom lane for Legacy.
And that's the jungler backed away. Legacy have 4 members near the Baron pit.
They can't do it. So they're not going to do Baron.
They clear vision at least.
I mean, they can clear vision. They can maybe hit it a couple of times and make everyone else come. But, you know, they've got a very clear win condition. It's the guy in the bottom lane. If I'm Paprise and my team's like, you know what, now's a good time to do Baron, I'm like, no, damn it, just be patient. Like, my ultimate is already nearly back up and available. This guy now has no stopwatch. Just let me kill him again, and I'll end the game. Like, the Riven win condition is just so clear. This is like the exact same situation they were in when they played against Order. It was like,
still dead.
Yeah, it was like, Chaz, just win the game for us. And Chaz was like, dope. Like, I'm a 6-item Yasuo. Like, it's like, Paprise, just go win the game for us. We won't even take a turret anywhere else. Like, just kill him enough times and take the Nexus.
This is actually hilarious. He's going to get the inhibitor without a single
He can
tower
just ult
falling
and kill him
anywhere
again.
on the map. He's not going to push his luck into Nexus turrets, but they are forcing another back here out of Praelis. And Legacy, Papra is just continuing to be a thorn in the side of the Gravitas lineup. This is nuts. I love it.
And this is what Denian was saying, right? If you're the Riven player, you know what damage Riven does. You know exactly when you can push your limits, you know when you can't. Habu hasn't been hit by a level 18 Riven in quite some time. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know what the max damage of Conqueror at. Oh, mate.
Yeah, I know.
First rule of solo queue, ban Yasuo, ban Riven. Like,
that's the problem. You don't get prepared for this in solo queue.
Well, that's what he was saying, right? Is they have all the tools to be able to deal with this. Now he goes back, picks himself up a Mortal Reminder.
Oh, jeez.
And they're going to try and force mid, which I think is a good call. But if this doesn't work...
That has to be the answer right now. They do find Crazy, but once again, it's going to be denied by Praedith and the Fates call. And look at where Paprise is. He was thinking about wrapping around the side here.
Why would
Instead,
ya?
he's going right back to the bottom lane.
Exactly right. You still have the teleport advantage.
Crazy. Oh, that is a clutch Black Shield.
But if you don't win the game right here, this becomes questionable. Because it is so easy to hold mid lane inhibitor.
Inhib tower is going to go down.
Stop
Meanwhile, though, Paprise still pushing. Back has been stopped. Who are they going to send? The inhibitor will fall. That's going to equalize, and the party portal is going to get them all out of harm's way. But this might just be a Nexus tower. And the backs are going, but only starting right now. The Ezreal, he's canceled it right now. The Riven with the super minions is going to get the Nexus tower.
Gets one Nexus turret. Like, if I'm Chaz there, start up the party portal. Go looking for him. If no one comes back, that's double super creeps. He nearly ends the game. And if he runs into the Ezreal here, he'll just outright kill him. He is a monster right now.
Two-shot barrage. Oh, yeah, Paprise barely gets tickled by that. Yeah,
and he knows.
He's a beast.
They have to go back towards the Baron. You're still playing against a Callista. Like, if you don't respect the Baron at all, she's going to be able to do it eventually. Sure, you would like her to be 6 items, but right now she's got 3.
Look at that face of concentration on Paprise there in the player cam right now. Communicating with the team as well. This is great from the Legacy lineup, who have been on the up and up.
They're going to collapse on him. So this is the first time. 3 members now coming down. What does he do?
Let's see. Can he make the great escape? Paprise dodging one, dashing away, and he's out of there. Legacy looking pretty good here. Gravitas trying to get the collapse. They didn't show at the end of the day.
I love this from Paprise. Double pink wards every single time he's on the map. He's obviously very experienced at split pushing from when his team is in a deficit elsewhere, and he needs to be a careful split pusher. This isn't a situation where you've got Prio in 3 lanes at this stage. You're running a great 1-3-1, but he is just so aware of what plays are open to the Gravitas lineup right now, and he's giving them none of them.
And there are limited options for Gravitas to really retaliate. They've already taken mid inhibitor. Baron is clearly been shown to be a difficult thing to take. And also, there haven't been any dragons this game. This is the first one. Paprise is not even sure if he wants to fully commit to it. And this is really just to open up Elder Drake.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I will say is right now, Gravitas are way stronger as a 5-man unit. You know, if you're the Gravitas lineup And one Sleepy Trouble Bubble hits, WE from Ezreal, someone dies.
There's a Baron attempt. They're going to start it.
let's do
Let's
it.
see how far along Gravitas are on Baron Nashor. It's down to about half health, and there's the collapse coming in from Legacy. Paprice not going to teleport in.
Just look for the
Guts
steal.
can go for the steal attempt. This would be massive for Legacy, but will they be able to do it? Gravitas, decoy over the wall. He does get the taunt, but it's going to go the way of Gravitas. Pava with the final shot. It's a 4v5, which means it should be Gravitas winning this one. They've already taken Guts out of this. One back goes, and it's the Ezreal. Crazy, giving his life, going golden, pulled back in. They're going to try and stop these ports here, and it's going to be the Morgana deleted. They do have Ezreal pushing them back. The rest of Legacy giving their lives for this cause right now, as there's a pretty big shutdown going the way of Praedyth, but he will fall as well. It's all about buying that time, but Paprice has already been chased away.
Certainly has, and now you can see that the fight was for naught. They tried to stop all the ports. They thought they had them all. That can be the only reason that they continued to commit, but they hadn't. So now it is going to be a genuine 4v1. Teleport coming in. Paprice.
How big is he right now? Raid gets the bait back and forth. The super minions doing their jobs. He's trying to dodge, but one Riven is not big enough, and it looks like Gravitas with the ace will head for the base.
Yeah, and you have to think that maybe he should have teleported there. He had escaped, could have been able to get out. There are 2 members coming back up and available, but now 4 members strong. With the Baron buff, I don't think they're going to be able to stop the Gravitas lineup.
They were staggered kills, but Gravitas looking a lot stronger right now. Guts going in with Crazy. The Soul Shackle's on. Those towers aren't lasting very long, though, and that's going to be the kill onto Crazy. Guts forced back. It's the Nexus, and Gravitas survived the split push nightmare to take the win over Legacy.
Really fun game, Pyra.
Yeah, that was.
That was just 2 teams playing their style, sticking to their guns. Applaud Gravitas because they knew that the game was never out of their control, that they always had the ability to set up at an objective. If people face check them, then they were going to be able to win the fight. In saying that, I think that was like 17 health left on a Baron. And if Paprice had got that Baron, as opposed to the Gravitas lineup, no, they win the game.
Yeah.
No way you recall in time for that. He pushes down the turret. So it was very, very close. Both teams playing to their win conditions, but, you know, credit to Gravitas, they got it done.
They seriously did, and it seemed like they didn't have an answer for the longest time, but they kept together. They decided to force the plays they needed to, and they were running out of options.
Well, this is a reason that people are likening Gravitas to Order. Because that early game from Gravitas, like, super clean. Like, they have, like, the ability to be able to, like, play around their win conditions really, really well. You mentioned it. It looked like the Riven had just stalled, was going nowhere in the game, was sitting bottom lane at the tier 2, not even able to take that down. But then there was just really no setup anywhere else on the map. They didn't have the tools, they felt, to be able to hard engage. You know, Morgana is such a cheeky devil. She just steps so far up, especially with a Kalista that
gets
can get yoinked back in.
Yeah.
So they felt like they had to slow the pace of the game down and look kind of lost for a little bit there. But they certainly regained footing in that game. And I actually think the last, you know, they did lose their way in the mid game, but the last 5-ish minutes where they kept taking Pabu back to the Baron and trying to start that one up was when they really started to regain control of it and starting to win. Because in the 1v1, that was a nightmare. No one wants to play 1v1 versus level 18 Riven when she has 4 items. Like, that's not fun.
Yeah, so they don't play against the Riven. Instead, they play on the Baron. They get the win at the end of the day. Let's see what the couch has to say about it.
All right, in the coach interview, Coach Denian talked about wanting to get ahead in the early game. It didn't work out too well for them, but then they nearly took it out in the end game.
Yeah, it certainly did. Like that was literally what he said. Look, we've been struggling to get to mid game at an even game, like even footing, so we can actually play League of Legends. Like we're just getting boomed early. So let's pick the Kalista. Let's get the Rek'Sai on the new patch. Let's get things that bully lane with the Morgana, and let's get a lead. But unfortunately for them, like it didn't happen. Like Jake was just saying on the cast, that like the early game was very stable from Gravitas' side, and Legacy never really found a way in pre like 20 minutes.
Yeah, and here's the other thing Denian said. People don't know what Riven does, which is a big strength on picking the champion. But even if you know what Riven does, he's picked it into your champion. So there's not a whole lot you can do at a certain point in that game. And there was nothing that Pabu would be able to do against Paprice's Riven at 3 items, at 4 items. It was just going to be impossible for him to deal with. And that is where I have to go back on what the desk said. I agree with them. I have to commend Gravitas for staying strong, for bringing Pabu over to the Baron as well, more importantly, to secure an area of control. Because leaving him down there to die is just slowly losing the game. You have to use him for something, or there is nothing for you to get, and you just lose. And, you know, while Gravitas did that well, there is still a caveat that Legacy could have won that game. There was absolutely a point where they win that game, and it's not just a 50-50 smite. 2 minutes prior to that, if they stopped recalls near that inhib, if it wasn't a stolen Rise ultimate, the game was probably over.
Yeah. Because like there were so many clutch moments. There's like a Riven 1v, like, well, I was about to say 1v2, and then I realized in my head the 2 was the turret. She had 2 super creeps hitting turrets, and then like it's a realm warp away, and like a ranged minion auto attack is flying over and hits the inhib. Gravitas almost realm warped out to safety because they were afraid of like the counter engage and stuff like that, and wouldn't have got the inhib. But like to commend them on like sticking in it. That was like a slow realization to be like, hey guys, like Pabu's in the side lane, like I'm getting screwed, like I need some help. They have Ezreal TP, he can go bot side and TP back to the play. They have globals with the Galio that can get down there and get into a 1v2 literally from mid lane. It took a long time, but eventually, like that's what the comp needs to do. They need to get to the Baron. It was very close. They tried to deny the Rek'Sai, the tunnel goes over the wall. They need to force, and they did force, and they get the win.
They got the win indeed. It was a hairy end there for Gravitas, but they took it out. And now to the man with the most hair on Gravitas, it's Raid.
I thought he was going with Harry for a second, and I'm like, that's not the player interview. You guys that was a nutty game. Like, in all honesty, let me just open up by asking you about how you kept your head in that one when the Riven was basically 1v5ing.
Yeah, obviously it's a lot of pressure on us as the 4 to get things done, and we weren't really getting anything done that game, so we were just leaving Pabu to the slaughterhouse for like 10 minutes. We eventually made a play and brought him with us to the team because I think it took a long time for us to realize that we should have just brought him with us because we weren't really getting anything done as the 4. Yeah, it was a kind of a disappointing mid-game, I guess, from us because we had all the tools. We have Ezreal Zoe with like a 10k gold lead. I feel like Ezreal Zoe with a 10k gold lead is like pretty much GG. Like enemies should never be able to come close to their jungle with a lead like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and it's got to feel like, oh, you know, you should be winning, but then when all of a sudden you're losing out on objectives, that's kind of like always a bit of a subtle like thing in your mind, like why isn't this happening the way we expect it to? What were the comms like when you guys decided to make that change up and just bring Pabu to the Baron? Who made that decision?
I guess it was just, I think it was Jackson really, because we were kind of hinting it for a while. I mean, we were talking about it, but I think Jackson's just like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm not holding this guy. Let's just force this Baron because we knew we were just going to destroy them and wipe them in a team fight. So I guess we just forced that. After we took Baron, we were like panicking, like Robins on our base. I was going to like kill their whole team, but I was like, nah, I have to recall, and then I just watched my whole team just clean them. It was be sad, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a close call at the end of the day, and you guys have definitely been needing every single win. Obviously, last week was a bit of a disappointment for you.
Yes.
Is just getting, even as close as it was, just getting that W like a big relief in the minds of the Gravitas lineup? Yeah,
of course. All the wins matter. I think we had a pretty good week last week. We were very close to winning both the games. It's really about taking down these top teams. You know, I feel like we have the potential to upset, and I think we really need to show some strong performances now because the gauntlet spots are, you know, they're being sealed very soon. So hopefully we can beat Bombers tomorrow. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about it. Like, how do you feel going up against those Bombers, especially in light of what we just saw earlier today, which I can only describe as bloody violence at this point?
Yeah,
Bombers are
a very, very well-established team. I think they've found their footing. I feel like they can play all 3 lanes very well. Me and Daniel have done very well versus their bot lane traditionally. I think if we play as a team collectively, we get a good draft, and we stick to the game plan and work as 5, you know, as a team, I think we can actually beat them. Oh. So hopefully Juice can give us some momentum with these good team talks.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see that one on Twitter as well. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Ray. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now we're going to go ahead and send it back to the couch once again.
All right, before we kick on into the next seg, I just wanted to let you guys know about something cool that we're going to